I'm going to do a review of this case for the HTC EVO, the PDA phone camera thing. It's actually a fairly big phone to begin with, so I wasn't sure about getting a case, but we've used them on the Droids, which are also smartphones with a large touchscreen like this. And the reason I like having a case on the Droid is because it's smooth, it's all plastic, and I assumed that I'd be dealing with the same thing with the EVO. I hadn't taken that out of the package at the point when I bought the case there, and it's actually not a rubber texture, but it is a little bit tackier texture than a smooth plastic. Of course, the cover is all glass, so you're not going to be holding on to the front. The other thing about the EVO is that there's no buttons along the side, and somewhere between the other day when I got this case and today, I figured out what the thing is. On the Droid, because of this darn button, what is this, the picture button down here, you really can't just hold the Droid like this, because this finger is going to keep hitting this button and weird stuff happens unless you go in and disable your button. So one of the features I like about having the case, it brings you up your fingers away from this button. So even though there's a hole there in the case where you can get to the button, your hands or your fingers are kept away from that button, and it gives you more area to hold on to. Even though there's some room down here, there's just not a lot of space because of the position of that button. And I think that that's one of the reasons I decided I would need a case for this one. Now that I've had this one for a day or so, I'm noticing that since it's smooth, the whole bottom 2/3 of the unit is nothing but those plugs, nothing. It gives you a really easy place to hold on to, and I don't need the case, but since I've got it, I figured I'd try it out. Not super happy with it, to be honest, so let's show you why. First off, you saw it, I took it off fairly easily. I can put it on pretty much just as easily. It comes together like you see with these little tabs that sort of interlock back and forth on each other, and it does not just stay together at all. There's nothing about it that it wants to stay together, so I'm using my thumb here to hold it together, and there is this little channel on the big tab and a little, piece of stock to fill in that channel. And what I assumed was that it's somehow molded so that the unit, the EVO being in here, would somehow hold it together. Because again, if I don't hold it, it just comes apart. So if we go ahead and put it on the unit, again, it's very easy to put it on. Usually it's very easy when you don't have a camera running. Okay, it's pretty easy to put on. It kind of makes it look cool in a two-tone, I guess, especially if you're into two-tone stuff. But, I suspect if I were to just hold this edge, well, I'm obviously creating that, problem, but you can see that there's just nothing holding this together. So I'm not real happy with it. It cost $20. Honestly, I'm probably going to end up returning it because it's so bad. It just doesn't add anything to the phone. It does have about the same texture as the phone itself, which is just a little bit tackier than a smooth plastic, but not a rubberized coating like you would see on a body glove style hard case. One of the things that is nice about having a hard case is it creates an edge here around it. So if I was going to put something on the phone, not that I'm getting the habit of putting stuff on my phone, but occasionally, I'll just need to carry two things in a hand like this, and it just keeps stuff up off the glass screen. That said, these glass screens, if they're anything like the Droid, are all but impenetrable to any scratches. This Droid, after months of hard use, is basically dirty but not scratched anywhere. It really is some of the hardest glass I've ever dealt with, and I've got to assume the HTC is going to be about the same. So anyhow, this is the review for this EVO. Cover, like I say, because of the quality of the phone itself, because of the materials that's used in the phone, and because there's really just, I can't see much that this adds to it. Can't recommend it unless you really need one. And perhaps I got a lemon. Perhaps I could bend this so that it would create more tension. But honestly, I don't want to have to modify it. If I got a lemon, that's okay. But I think I'm just going to end up taking it back and returning it and getting something else, to replace it. I do like having a cover for when we go out and we're going to be wearing gloves, and perhaps if we're going to be in an environment where it might drop, because they don't give you any way to put a loop or a tether or a lanyard on these phones. Even all my phones up till these smartphones have had a place to put a lanyard on. I've always taken advantage of that, and I've always put one on. And I got to tell you, the way I use my phones, at least, I've always been happy that I do that, because I've always needed that lanyard at least once, if not multiple times a year. So that's something that I do like about the case, is that it gives you that extra protection. I've had this a day and it's already been dropped once. It's just going to lend itself to some droppage without having really any nothing to hold on to with it, nothing to create a lanyard. So anyway, I got this at Radio Shack, but it doesn't say anything about Radio Shack on it except for the sticker, so I suspect that it's from HTC. So if that is an HTC case, it's not going to get a very positive review from us.